Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar here today. My name is Andreas. I am from TikTok Shop, and I'm quite glad you could join us. I've got with me Patchworks, Veeqo, and FordeBaker, and a great lineup of speakers here today. So to kick things off, we're going to do some quick introductions. And first, we're going to start with Tom Baker, who's the founder of FordeBaker.
Hi everyone. Yep, I'm Tom, founder and CEO of FordeBaker. We're a specialist marketplace agency, and today I'll be taking you through some of the basics when considering launching and planning your sales growth on TikTok Shop.
Thank you, Ben. Now we're going to go over to Ben Inman, business developer from Veeqo.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben, business developer at Veeqo, as Andreas just said. I've been with Veeqo for around 10 years now, and I will cover inventory management and smarter shipping in Veeqo during this webinar.
Thank you, Ben. And now we've also got Will from Patchworks.
Yeah, hi everyone. Will here in the partnerships team at Patchworks, tech partnerships in particular. I won't tell you what Patchworks is because that's my job in a few minutes' time. But yeah, looking forward to jumping back in to delve into the world of iPads and how we can help you connect TikTok to the rest of your tech stack.
Thank you, Will. And now over to Johnny from Patchworks as well.
Hi there, I'm Johnny. I'm one of the solutions engineers at Patchworks. So I essentially work with various people that use our platform, tech partners, agencies, and clients that are hopefully going to join us. So I basically work with people to help them on board, and I do some development and implementation like the blueprints that we're going to take a look at today.
Thank you. I was doing a short introduction about TikTok Shop and who we are. And really, all we are about is discovery commerce. And we represent a new, perhaps more personal way of shopping. And we have a community where creators, brands, and different other communities, they all come together and they connect through the short form video that, has made TikTok so famous all around the world. And alongside the live content. And what we do is we inspire product discovery, and we're trying to drive instant action, which is where TikTok Shop comes in. And all of this happens in the TikTok app. Now, as for me, I am part of the client solutions team. So my role involves supporting businesses in setting up and really scaling their presence on our platform. And really particularly if we're to focus on the UK market, we're seeing huge momentum here. We were the fastest growing online retailer in 2024, and we've got over 200,000 businesses active live on our TikTok Shop platform. And on average, we're looking at about 6,000 live shopping sessions taking place every day just in the UK alone. Some more interesting stats around the daily sales, which have increased 93% year on year, and also just some of the more interesting and exciting case studies. So one of the longest live streams that we had, it was P. Louise's 12-hour live stream. So within 12 hours, this seller managed to generate over $2 million in sales. And you're looking at a couple of products being sold every second during the broadcast. So as you can already see, the opportunity is massive, and it's there. And we'll explore more of these in future sessions. But for now, can we move over to the next slide, please? So before I pass over to Tom, just a few housekeeping notes to make sure that things are running smoothly. Your cameras and your microphones are turned off by default, so no need to worry about any background noise. You're very welcome, and please do submit questions throughout the time using the chat box. Our team is going to collate all of those, and we'll talk about them and answer as many as we can at the end of the session. And then all the resources mentioned here today, plus a recording of the webinar, we're going to share all of this with you afterwards. And finally, we'd love some feedback at the end of this session. And now I'm going to go quiet and hand over the time I've eaten from Tom. So Tom, over to you.
Thank you very much, Andreas. So what we're going to talk about today really is some of the sort of starting steps when considering launching on TikTok Shop and the choices that you have to make as you go through that planning stage, and just things to be aware of as you move through all the steps to get to your activation point. So just very quickly, a little bit about FordeBaker. So we're a specialist marketplace agency. We provide a full range of services internationally for TikTok Shop, Amazon, and Walmart. And then really what we're all about is a one-stop marketplace agency. So we're there to help ambitious brands to achieve best-selling performance on a global scale. Okay, right, let's get into the TikTok shop stuff then, and less about FordeBaker. So these are the topics that we're going to cover today. So account setup, operations and compliance, product selection, channel mix, and the considerations around those different channels within TikTok shop. And then finally, evaluating whether TikTok shop is right for your brand and products. Okay, so let's start with some of the absolute very basics. So this is really the kind of boring admin bit that needs to be done, obviously, at the start when you create your account. As I go through these slides, I'll probably reference Amazon now and again, because a lot of the steps that we need to take and the decisions that we need to consider are very similar to Amazon. So if you're already on Amazon, you will be familiar with some of these ideas. So it's not all completely new. You will kind of recognize some of the things that we're going to go through. So hopefully that help reduce the fear factor around the kind of newness with TikTok shop, I suppose. First thing to say is that TikTok does have stringent country level requirements. What I mean by that is if you're a UK business trying to set up on TikTok shop UK, dead easy. It's all of the regular kind of business information that you'll already have, the business entity, business representative, ID, all of that kind of stuff. If you are trying to launch in a different country, let's say a UK business trying to launch on TikTok shop US, or a US entity trying to launch on TikTok shop UK, then that is more complicated. There are, as I say, requirements at a country level. So just make sure you're fully aware of what those requirements are. It often means having that kind of local entity in each of those different countries and the sort of representative in those countries as well. So, you know, I appreciate a lot of businesses won't already have those things set up, and there's no point going on with the rest of the kind of exciting part of developing the marketing strategy until you know for sure that you've actually got the right setup in place. But as I say, if it's just in your kind of home country, it should be dead simple. The second part of it is looking at the brand authorization. So again, just referencing Amazon, this is very similar to Amazon's brand registry program. You're going to enroll your trademark in your TikTok shop account. That provides you with a range of benefits and just tells TikTok that you are the legitimate brand owner. You have control over those listings, and it kind of gives you a bit more security around the sort of listings and eventually going through the setup process. If you are a reseller or distributor of some description, then you will need proof of that relationship with the brand in order to get that kind of brand authorization. Okay, so that's a lot of sort of admin, essentially getting the account set up. Then we're going to talk about really the sort of operational side of things. So this is obviously before we get the product pages set up and before we actually start getting into the marketing, is really thinking about how things are actually going to work. The first thing to think about is around fulfillment method. So there's three ways you can do that. You can do fulfillment by TikTok, pretty much identical to fulfillment by Amazon if anyone's using Amazon and fulfillment by Amazon. Essentially, you'll move your stock into a fulfillment center that's run by TikTok and their partners, and then TikTok will handle the delivery to the end consumer. There aren't the same kind of, let's say, I would say force. That's Amazon kind of obviously nudges you towards fulfillment by Amazon because of the kind of additional selling benefits. That's not necessarily the case with fulfillment by TikTok yet. That might change over time, but it's a great way, obviously, to kind of hand everything over to TikTok to run that kind of delivery, and it works extremely well. Second option is fulfillment by seller. This is really common. Great way to start is to connect into your website CMS. So essentially, TikTok Shop acts as a marketing channel on top of, let's say, Shopify. So it's sending the order information. The transaction happens in TikTok Shop, but the order information then goes into Shopify and then is handled as any other kind of order that you would get on Shopify. You could also use Amazon's multi-channel fulfillment as well. So you can connect the order information into your Amazon account if you so wish. And then there are more kind of direct or manual ways of fulfilling customer orders called fulfillment by platform. So there's various options underneath each of those three. And you can obviously move between them over time as things evolve and your sales grow. Product compliance. So this is really around for products where obviously there's more sensitivity around them. Maybe it's supplements is a great example. There will be additional compliance requirements. So just having that sort of regulatory documentation in place is really important to get that category authorization to actually be able to trade your products. There is a prohibited products list. It is very similar to Amazon's, but there are some differences. So again, please do check that. If you think that your products are in a kind of relatively sensitive area, just make sure you get that done first. And then sort of language on the listings. Again, this is not the same for obviously for all different types of products. But again, if you are in a particularly sensitive area or a regulated area, just be careful with the language that you're using, the marketing claims that you're sharing in the descriptions. Otherwise, your listings will sort of fall foul of the system, and they'll get suspended, or they just won't go active. So again, just be aware of that product compliance requirements. And then getting the actual product pages and inventory set up. So again, if you're using your website CMS, Shopify being obviously the most common one, a lot of that's automated. You can push the information from Shopify into TikTok Shop, and obviously that will populate things extremely quickly. Obviously then third-party applications that can support with those integrations between TikTok Shop and your website CMS, such as Veeqo and Patchworks, and obviously the guys will explain all about how those things work. There are more manual ways of doing things. So you can actually go and create your product pages and upload the content manually or through bulk upload files. Again, very similar to kind of Amazon. So there's lots of different ways to kind of get things set up and lots of automations. I will say, having someone who spent a lot of time in Amazon systems, I do find TikTok a lot easier. I'm not just saying that just because there's a TikTok rep on the call. It is a lot easier. So don't be scarred by your Amazon experience with the back end of TikTok Shop. And then finally, you can connect your TikTok Shop into your TikTok marketing account. Don't forget to do that, just so the two things kind of sync together. Okay, going on to product selection now. So we've done all the sort of operational technical things. It's actually like, which products should I be trading on the platform? The first thing to do is to understand actually how the consumer experiences products in their regular kind of consumption of information and entertainment and content on TikTok itself. So the really important thing is to kind of align your product selection to that idea of how people actually find or discover products. So products will only really have discoverability if you're actively promoting them. And we'll talk about how you actively promote them later. But that's obviously, you've got to actively promote them. That's done at a product level. So if you're doing things at a product level, that means that you're not trying to do everything with all of your products at the same time. Search, there is a search function on TikTok Shop. It's obviously a much smaller part of the overall kind of sales mix on TikTok Shop versus Amazon, again, just using that as an example. So it's really about kind of how the product gets in front of the end consumer, which is often mediated through creators or advertising. Unless your brand has a really small catalog, don't try to focus on all of your products all at the same time. Have a kind of curated approach to your marketing strategy. It doesn't mean that you can't put all of your products onto TikTok Shop. In terms of the promotion, I'd say less is more to begin with. And then what you're really looking for is a kind of critical mass of attention on those products. So this is why the less is more rule really, really works. You want to get as much attention on those products as possible. That means kind of getting the focus on them through different creators that you can work with. And I'll come on to that in a second. Actually then looking at your product catalog and which ones are you going to prioritize. Really, it's quite simple, really. So focus on bestsellers. Often lower priced single unit products will work great, particularly when you're going through a kind of proof of concept or learning about the platform. Inevitably lower priced products are going to work best for you because there's a lower barrier to kind of purchase for the consumer. And then think about seasonality and trends as well. So if there's a higher intent to purchase at a given time of year, then those products should be part of your kind of consideration as well. And as I mentioned, you don't necessarily need to publish everything to TikTok Shop, unless obviously it's all automated and can be done kind of instantaneously. But the focus should really be on a smaller selection of products. And then in terms of merchandising those products, bundles is a great way to go about things. It's a win-win for the brand and for the consumer. You'll get a higher average order value. The customer gets kind of greater value for money out of that as well. There is a more kind of impulse driven purchasing behavior on TikTok Shop. So really kind of think about how you play into that idea of catching attention. So that could be through exclusives or limited time offers, flash sales, all of that kind of thing. So not every product has to be an exclusive or on a limited time offer, but use those different kind of promo mechanics to your advantage. Okay, then prioritize marketing activity. So there's really kind of three main marketing channels within TikTok Shop itself. So I've talked about search. It's a really small percentage of total sales. Most of your sales will come through creator marketing. I've put that one in the middle. That is where you should be spending most of your time. In subsequent webinars, we'll go into this in much greater detail, but essentially roughly about 70% of your sales will come through creator marketing. That is giving your products to creators who then create content around those products, shoppable videos. There's a link in those shoppable videos that goes through to your TikTok Shop, and then the consumer can transact and place their order through that. So I've described creator marketing as kind of heartbeat of every marketing strategy on TikTok Shop. It's often the first port of call for brands. The reasons for that is it's often the easiest thing to get started with. Most creators will work on an affiliate commission, so there's lower upfront costs for the brand. The creators are really incentivized to drive sales, and that can scale up. There's a lot of research and development that goes into like building the right creator network and building those relationships and so on and so forth. So I'm not saying it's going to be like dead easy to scale that up to lots and lots of creators, but it's definitely the place to start. You can support your creator marketing activity with advertising. So there's something called Spark ads. So this is essentially where you're going to take the best performing creator content and support that with some ad funding to essentially boost the visibility of those videos, get extra sales just by funding that extra reach and visibility. There's an entire suite of other types of advertising options within TikTok Shop. This is very, very, very similar to if you're doing anything on Meta, pretty much identical. If you're already advertising on TikTok, then all of those kind of strategies will work. You're just driving the sales into TikTok Shop rather than off to your website. You can do the two things side by side. There's obviously different reasons to do that, but you'll get a great conversion rate by keeping everyone kind of within the app itself. What I'd also say with your advertising, your creator marketing are the things that are kind of always on, if you like. You will see a great return on ad spend within TikTok Shop, but you'll also see a halo effect. It's really important to consider that when you're looking at your ROAS as you develop these campaigns, is like, what effect is that having on my Amazon sales? What effect is that having on my website sales as well? And that definitely does happen. And then your final sort of main marketing channel is live shopping. And Andreas has already talked about some of the kind of amazing sales results that some brands have experienced on the live shopping side of things. Think of it as TV shopping in a social commerce age. So all of the kind of principles of TV shopping applied into the social commerce kind of world that we live in today. Longer form stream content works really well. Focus on your key products, sales events, and just educating the customers. It's not all about selling the product. It's also about knowledge about how to use the products, demonstrating the products, all that kind of stuff. In terms of production, it doesn't have to be too polished, but it does require some good planning and some really good high quality presenters who are going to keep everyone engaged for a long time. Okay, and then is TikTok Shop the right platform? You shouldn't just kind of go into it blindly. You've got to think about how it fits into everything else that you're doing, and what that means for the brand and at a product selection level. The first thing to really is like understand what's going on with TikTok Shop, and so look at the trends really. When I'm talking about trends, I'm not necessarily talking about virality of different things on TikTok itself. I'm talking about the trend in the way that consumers have adapted extremely quickly to buying products on TikTok Shop, and how that behavior is changing all of the time. So the types of things that were being sold maybe 18 months ago, or the most popular, will have changed really, really quickly. And we've seen an influx of brands coming onto the platform. So any prior assumptions that you might have had about, oh, it's only for like bargain basement products and that kind of thing, is quickly changing. So you've got to kind of revise those assumptions and actually go and look at what's happening on the platform. There's some great tools out there, like third-party tools that will give you sort of sales estimates, competitor research, general category trends as well. I've referenced one here called FastMoss, which we use. It's great for us being able to kind of quantify the opportunity for different brands on the platform. And then kind of hitting the sweet spot. So again, just trying to validate that there is demand on TikTok Shop for your types of products. So are there already identifiable audience? So for example, like the clean talk audience or book talk or these kind of communities. So if your products fit with those well-defined communities, then you know that there's going to be demand and interest for your products. FMCG tends to work best, but I wouldn't disqualify anything that doesn't fit into FMCG. I should really be open-minded because the platform is developing and evolving all the time. Demonstrable product works really well. It's obviously a very visual platform. So being able to show the product, how it works, what it does, all of that kind of thing is really great. Link what your product does into positive outcomes for the consumer. That kind of fits with the kind of nature of TikTok as a sort of social environment. And then, as we mentioned before, provide great value with the product selection. And then finally, product discovery. So there's only one bullet point here because it's just very, very simple. If product discovery is the main kind of challenge and opportunity with your types of products, then TikTok Shop is the place to focus, right? So, and I'm kind of comparing TikTok with Amazon here. So if you know that you've got an innovative product, it's a very visual product, there's something different about it, something unique that needs to be explained, and you need to get people excited about it, then TikTok Shop is the place to go, because that's where people discover products. You can obviously put it elsewhere, and Amazon acts as a point of sale, and obviously there's a halo effect. But if the real challenge is around discovery and awareness of product, then TikTok is definitely the kind of focus. Okay, and then finally, quick takeaways. So just make sure you've got that documentation in place. Try to validate that there is an opportunity. There are third-party tools that you can use to do that. From a marketing point of view, focus on creators to begin with. That can scale up really, really nicely, and then add in advertising and live shopping. And then finally, focus on your hero products, particularly in that early stage when you're trying to understand how the platform works, and essentially you're building the business case for a long-term investment in the platform. And that's me done.
Perfect. Thank you very much for this. You've shared some really insightful, some quite practical guidance there as well. Covered a few of it just as good as we would have. At this stage, I would like to pass over to Ben Inman from Veeqo, who's going to take us through how Veeqo supports sellers with the inventory and the order management system. Ben, handing it over to you.
Thanks, Andreas. Hi, everyone. So as I said at the beginning, I'm going to run you through the inventory and shipping sections of Veeqo. But before I do that, I'll just give you a quick overview of what is Veeqo and why would you use it. As I've said, Veeqo is excuse me, an inventory and shipping software by Amazon, free to use, and you would generally use it managing your inventory and shipping, obviously, especially if, as I think Tom mentioned earlier, you're selling on multi-channel, so TikTok, Amazon, eBay, Shopify, etc. It really makes it easy to manage that inventory across all of the platforms. So I'm going to just share my screen now and show you the Veeqo system. Yeah, so inventory management. Veeqo will allow you to seamlessly manage your inventory on TikTok and any other e-commerce website or marketplace where you sell your goods. So the stock itself is managed using a single stock control product. So this is what you see on the left-hand side. And we've got 3 inventory figures here. You can operate multi-warehouse as well. So if you have more than one dispatch location, but you'll see on hand, committed, and available stock. On hand being the inventory you've actually got sat in your warehouse or warehouses. Committed is inventory where you've sold it, so somebody's ordered it online, but you haven't yet dispatched, so it's still technically sat in your warehouse. And available is subtracting one from the other so that you don't oversell. And Veeqo will automatically sync any stock changes, so any changes to these figures across all of the various stores and marketplaces that you sell. This is indicated, so you'll see just to the right as well. You can see what stores you're advertising on. So we've got TikTok and eBay in this particular example. Stock changes will generally take place in one of three ways. So first would be order management. So I mentioned this committed column. So orders will sync into Veeqo automatically. So any new orders will come into Veeqo automatically, and we'll commit stock to that order. Order adjustments, so if somebody's placed an order and they want an edit, so you make an edit to the order. And also returns will always usually result in stock movement, and that triggers then a stock push. So we're not on a schedule. We don't push stock every 10 minutes, every half an hour. Whenever the inventory changes, that triggers a stock push. The second way of inventory changes would be inventory replenishment. So you're selling inventory, you're replenishing your inventory. So any inventory you make using CSV imports, for example, or using Veeqo's native purchase order feature will also trigger that updated stock. And finally, any manual adjustments will be synced across your stores and marketplaces. So manual adjustments would be perhaps there's missing, or you've damaged some inventory, or you've found a box of stock in the back room that you want to add to the system. So you would make that change in Veeqo. So I can add an extra 10 to this product. This is optional, but you can make the users leave a reason why they're adding additional inventory or subtracting inventory as they're doing it. So you can fully audit and report on inventory movements. Perhaps you want to keep an eye on inventory that's not packaged very well. If there's a lot of item damaged, reasons left for inventory movement, you can report on that. And the creation of this product catalog, allowing you to use the inventory management, is also automated. So once you've connected your stores, your marketplaces to Veeqo, we will pull those product listings in. We will check to see if it exists already based on SKU code. So where you can see, for example, I've got TikTok and eBay all pointing to this single stock control product. That's because the SKUs match, so that automates it. If SKUs don't match, that's fine. You can still use the system. It just requires a little manual mapping. So for example, let's assume there's a typo in this SKU and this product on eBay is actually the same as this product on TikTok. You can still manage inventory. All you've got to do is merge the two products together. So I will select the two products. I will click Actions. I will merge. I get to choose which version of the product data you want to remain. So which product title, essentially an image. So I'll choose that bottom one. Click Merge. And that's it then. You can see I've now got the two listings linked to that one stock control product. So any changes to this single item will sync properly across my stores, just ensuring that we can sync stock with 100% accuracy. I'll move on to the smarter shipping now. So there's many features that allow you to ship smartly in Veeqo. So if I just move to the order screen first of all, and by shipping smartly, what I mean is added speed, added efficiency, or ideally both to your dispatch process. So as well as product syncing automatically, orders will sync into the system automatically. You don't have to click anything to get your orders into Veeqo. And by default, they will appear in this ready to ship view. So ready to ship in Veeqo, meaning you've got the stock, so you've got stock to ship out, and the item or the order has been paid for. And that gives it this ready to ship status where you could just go ahead on a order by order basis. A very basic way of using the system is processing the order singularly, clicking ship, selecting your carrier and service, and then hitting the ship button again. But ways you can improve this experience are Order tagging. So what that essentially does is it allows you to group orders together, acting as a custom filter. Common uses for order tagging would be helping to dictate packaging that you want to use. Maybe you've got particular customers that you like to prioritize their orders because they're, they're big spenders. Um, Flag orders that are perhaps high risk of fraud, or any scenario really you can think of. You can tag an order. So a tag would look like this. So you can see here, an order can have 2 tags as well. So there's no limit to how many tags you can have. Tags can be added manually as well. So you can tag an order manually by selecting the order, or you can create tags automatically using automation rules. I'll come into automation rules a little later. Once you've got the tags, the main way of using order tags is by combining these with order views. So you may have prioritization of orders where you need to process your orders in a certain manner to make sure that you're meeting particular service level agreements, or perhaps if it's Amazon, you've got a particular delivery promise to meet. So you can use order views to help group those orders together. So rather than everything just being lumped in this general ready to ship view, you can use order views. So I've created some up here. So I've got one order view, which is express shipping. So this is where a seller has actually, sorry, a customer has paid for expedited shipping. So you want to make sure that you process those orders before the standard shipping orders. So as a picker packer, I come in, I go to this filter first, I process these orders. I can then move on to those priority customers that I mentioned, recurring customers, process their orders, and then I can have a catch-all view. So once I've done anything that's a certain priority, I'm left with the remaining orders, and I will just process them as a final act. The next smart feature I'm going to discuss is, well, 2 features actually. Both use barcodes for added efficiency. So that would be digital picking and also what we call a scan to pack option. So these are, I guess, they're pre-shipping features, but they do make sure that you're shipping the items out correctly. So primarily focused on accuracy over speed. As I said, digital picking and confirm pack options add the efficiency of barcode scanning just to make sure that you're sending the right items out and eliminating the risk of human error. Usually, you only need to incorporate one of these into your daily process to add that efficiency, but you can use both if you really want to be absolutely sure that the right items are going out. So digital picking, very high level summary. It will automatically group orders into batch sizes. So if your pickers want to pick 10 orders in a particular picking run, it will do that for them. It will route the pickers around the warehouse. If you add in the location, shelf 1, row 6. So pickers don't need to know where the products are. The system will tell them. And then we've got, as I mentioned, the barcode scanning. So once it's told them what to pick and where to go and get it, scan the product, it will tell you, yes, this is correct, no, this isn't correct, just getting rid of that human error risk. And one of the big benefits is, as well, is if you're a company that has seasonal staff or high turnover of staff, it makes the onboarding of those new hires really simple, because very quickly they just need to know how to pick up the scanner, click, give me a batch of orders, and the system will tell them what to do, really. The confirm pack option is slightly different. So rather than it being a picking feature, you use this at the pack stage. So you've already picked the items. Maybe you've got a separate picker picking the items and leaving them with the packer. What the confirm pack does is, if I click this ship button here, so I've got an order, you'll notice the actual ship button itself to generate the shipping label is disabled. And what that means is, it wants me to scan the barcode on these products to make sure I'm packing the right items into the box before I actually generate the shipping label. And this adds this kind of efficiency in the very last minute, so that really, really does reduce the risk of you sending wrong items out. So what I'll do is I'll manually confirm. So if I'm scanning the barcode, what it's doing is it's confirming packed 1 of 1, 1 of 1, and the ship button then becomes enabled because the system knows that I've absolutely packed the right items for this order, and I can go ahead and click ship. So the digital picking, one of the big differences, digital picking requires either a Veeqo scanner, which is a piece of hardware that you can purchase, or you can use your mobile phone by downloading the app. The confirm pack option, all you need for that is an infrared barcode reader, which you can pick up relatively cheaply anywhere online. Next, I'll move on to the automation rules I touched on briefly earlier. So an automation rule can be created to perform 1 or more actions. And what it will do then is it will work on an if and then function. So let me just create a quick rule. So what it basically says is when an order is created or updated or just updated, you set the if function. So if, for example, the order has come from, so the channel is my TikTok shop, and I can add another parameter and I can say that the delivery method is express. And then what I can do is I can either set the preferred carrier. And so I will say this needs to go DPD next day. I can also apply a dispatch date, a due date, an order tag. So this is where I mentioned you can add orders via rules rather than manually. So let's just mark this as, tag this as urgent, and we can make our order views then move any orders that are tagged as urgent into that priority queue. So lots of different functions you can do with the rules. You can add an internal note if you wish, so your employees will see a note against the order whenever it comes in. And also you can apply specific company branding. So if you operate multiple brands from within the same Veeqo instance, which you can do, you can set up branding for your invoice templates, etc. And you can specify that if the order comes from the TikTok channel, then send a specific company branding that's specific to TikTok and create the rule. And every time an order is created, so automatically synced, or if you should update an order, that will also cause the rules to rerun to make sure that a different rule doesn't need to apply because of any edits that you've made. And that really, again, it just helps with onboarding new staff. It removes any ambiguity because people don't need years of experience to know that this particular product that's a certain weight and going to the Scottish Highlands has to go via a certain carrier or service. You build that in the rules when you first set Veeqo up, and all they need to do then is click the ship button and the system will automatically tell them or automatically select the carrier and service is the most common use for these automation rules. And then finally, bulk shipping. So I mentioned, and I've shown you how to individually ship the orders. What you can also do is bulk highlight or select all up to 100 orders at a time. Click the actions button and click ship. If you created automation rules, it will pre-select the correct carrier and service option. Otherwise, you can manually do it as I'm doing right now. And I would just hit the ship button then, and that would go through generating a shipping label for every order in this batch, and then send that through to the printer, ready for me to stick on my parcels and dispatch those orders. And that is it from me. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for this, Ben. It was good to see how you're supporting our sellers. And now I am going to hand it over to Will from Patchworks, who is going to take us through a little bit about Patchworks itself and how it can help us.
Great, thanks, Andreas. Yeah, absolutely. So now we've had a look at kind of the strategy behind joining TikTok Shop, some of the cool tech to plug in. we really wanted to round this session off by kind of explaining how to connect it all together, bearing in mind that this is the crawl stage of the webinar series, so we're going to keep it super high level. We wanted to introduce you to Patchworks, and then later on we can get into a little bit more information of the types of customers and how we support our customers from a Patchworks perspective. But to give everyone the overview on us, so Patchworks is an iPaaS. We're an integration platform as a service. That essentially means that we are a platform that hosts endpoints for technology platforms, whether that be TikTok, whether that be Shopify, whatever it is across e-commerce, ERP, CRM. We host those endpoints on our platform in order to enable you as the merchants to connect whatever you'd like together to improve your operations and efficiency and the way that you run your business. So Patchworks is over 10 years old. We have a global presence. We serve over 300 customers with the platform. We're G2 leaders for iPaaS data mapping and e-com. We have over 150 pre-built connectors. So when we define a connector, it's essentially that endpoint information for a technology platform. And we also have a build your own connector as well. So the real value in Patchworks is being able to use that connector builder to build out whatever you'd like, or build into whatever you'd like, depending on your bespoke tech stack. And we're very proud to be MAC Alliance certified and ISO 27001 certified as well. So all of the right security in the right places. And then on the right there, you can see a snapshot of some of our global customers that use our platform. And then, like I said, they will all use our platform for their own individual tech stacks. So just briefly looking at the value of Patchworks then. So it's all about connection, automation, and optimization. So Patchworks can really bring faster integrations, connecting you to anything, connecting your tech stack to anything that you want it connected to. And it's connecting it faster as well. So rather than going through third-party, sluggish, long-winded processes, using a platform, an iPaaS like Patchworks gets it all done much quicker. But then it also centralizes all of your integrations as well. So it makes it much easier for whether it's your self-managing or a third-party agency to manage those integrations and keep them all centralized so you know what's going on. And then I'm sure everyone on this call has got experience of how much manual process goes into, whether it's you yourself or whether you are outsourcing an integration between an e-commerce platform and an ERP, for example. That's completely gone with an iPaaS like Patchworks. Streamlines all the workflows and makes your life and everyone's life much easier. And then that's for new integrations. For existing out-of-the-box connections that you may already have, Patchworks takes that to the next level. So like I said, because of our connectors, we have the full endpoints for all of these tech platforms. It means that we can create essentially bespoke integrations depending on the flows, the processes, whatever you're looking for. So the world is your oyster in terms of integrations. That's what Patchworks can bring. And then finally, on this final slide here, it's looking at how to actually connect TikTok Shop to your wider tech ecosystem. And as you can see in that screenshot there, Patchworks is of course listed in the TikTok Shop app store to make it super simple for you as the merchant to inquire about how Patchworks can get involved in your tech stack. So thinking of TikTok Shop, then bringing it back to this session today, and then I'll hand it over to my colleague Johnny, who will show you inside under the hood of Patchworks. You're going to need a powerful iPaaS partner to connect TikTok Shop smoothly to the rest of your tech stack. If you want to keep your customers happy, if you want to keep your partners happy, and if you want data flowing automatically and efficiently, bringing in an iPaaS really does that and takes away the headaches that you would find from otherwise implementing TikTok Shop into your wider tech stack manually. Patchworks is a no-code, low-code platform. So not just for TikTok Shop, but for the rest of your e-commerce stack, for your ERP, whatever that might be, fulfillment systems, bring that, centralize that all into one place under an iPaaS and connect until your heart's content. And then finally, the last point is automate the manual processes. Whatever the data flows are, instantaneously, connect them all together, place them and fulfill. Your customers will get the best experience from using an iPaaS in between your e-commerce, your TikTok shop, and the rest of your fulfillment, ERP, whatever that might be, allowing you to then scale your business. And that's where the real value of an iPaaS and the real value of where Patchworks can bring to your organization as a partner. And so with that, I'm going to finish speaking, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Johnny, who's going to share his screen and then run us through a quick high-level overview of what Patchworks looks like in the context of TikTok.
Thanks, Will. Cool. So we're in the Patchworks dashboard, as we call it, and I'm currently in the marketplace. So just to allude to what Will said there, we're an iPaaS, so we effectively facilitate the means to connect to any system. We've got around 150 connectors that are pre-built. So we can see those within here. We connect to many different platform types, ERP, marketplace, POS, etc. Today, I'm going to focus obviously on TikTok Shop and Veeqo. Again, as Will said there, we can connect to any system with an API. You can build your own connectors within the platform. You may well start with just TikTok Shop and Veeqo, but you can greatly improve that with further connections, WMS, accounting software, ERP, etc. They're easy to plug in, and the process flows that we're going to take a look at today can easily be expanded upon. So what we're going to take a look at is our pre-built solution, which is one of the many benefits of Patchworks. We develop these in-house, but again, you can build your own. We've got integration partners that do this as well. But within here, I'm currently in this company where we do the development for this blueprint. So I've got a few different versions here. But if we click into here, so in terms of a typical setup for this, it can literally be done in an afternoon. We've got documentation for every step of the way, how to get these connectors set up. But essentially, the process flows that we're looking at here are all plug and play. You'll install this, and then they're pretty much ready to go. So we can take a look at an example flow here, which I'm going to look at in a little bit more detail in a couple of seconds. But essentially, we're a low-code, no-code platform. Everything's on this canvas, as we call it, with different shapes. So in terms of the setup, it's all done. But again, it's really intuitive. The UI is really friendly. You'll be able to come into here, make adjustments, expand on the system, add some extra mappings and things like that. So all of these bits and pieces will be installed. We just need to hit install here. There's a couple of options to get set up. As Will said there, we're now listed on the TikTok Shop marketplace. So you can install us effectively from that end. Otherwise, it's done from within here. We've got a couple of instances for different development stores. But essentially, for both platforms, you go through a simple process. Veeqo, for example, you generate an API key on the Veeqo side. You come into here, you drop that key in, and it's good to go. With TikTok, because we've got our own applications embedded within TikTok, we've got support for both the UK and US market. So where you add an instance here, it's our details effectively. You get redirected to TikTok, you approve the application, brings you back into here, and then essentially the process flows can start to be tested and then deployed, ready to be enabled when ready. Very quickly for context, just in terms of a connector, these are fully customizable. So either yourselves in-house or with an implementation partner of ours. Any of this can be edited. So we've got general settings, various variables that can be used, the authentication. Shouldn't need to be changed, but it can be. And then a full suite of endpoints that are going to be used throughout the process flows. So again, we can have further system endpoints here, or we can edit existing if needs be. And again, just full control over literally anything, the data that it's going to come out, example payloads, example schemas within here, which we'll see in a second, just makes the mapping stage really quick and simple. So we'll hop over to the good stuff. We're on the process flows. When this is installed, there'll be 5. This is our development area, so there's a little bit more than that. But we'll jump into the orders flow. And as I say, it's all built out on this canvas with what we call shapes. These are all essentially microservices. So everything's running on AWS. It naturally auto scales based on demand. So in terms of load and things like that, there's no concerns there. We've got quite a number of clients running this blueprint. Some of them doing some really large volumes during peak periods. I'll just show you the settings really quickly. Again, just full control over everything here. We've got email failure notifications at the core. So if anything does fail here, a full log, which is generated after the process flow runs. If it is a fail, will get sent out. In the settings, you can create any number of notification groups. So we can put any number of people in those groups. Here, for example, if this was to fail, just the e-com team would be notified as it's an order. Fulfillments, potentially the warehouse or other teams might want to be notified. So we can take care of that there. There are other ways and means of building out catching errors, pushing them through to other systems like a Slack or a Jira or something like that. But we'll cover that in some further webinars. And then we've also got full version control within these as well. So once these have been set up, you've taken care of the initial setup and they've been deployed and they're active, that creates a new draft. So if you did need to, or if you wanted to rather, make any further adjustments, you could do that safely within the canvas, take care of some mapping, which I'm going to go through, without affecting anything in the live environment as such. So when that's ready, deploy, new version, etc., and then you'll be able to just iterate, keep going on that way. I'm just going to speak to this flow at quite a top level. We're at, just conscious of the time. Essentially, what we'll have installed here in terms of the setup, we'll just need to come into this connector shape here. So this is where we've chosen the instance that we've connected to. The endpoints will be pre-selected, but we can see here a long list of endpoints that are accessible. Within the connectors, we've got various means and ways of handling timeouts and things like that. So how long to give it before it times out, how many times to retry in between, and then just generally how to handle that payload once it comes back. All of the flows will start with a trigger, so that can be adjusted up here. So that can be minutes, hours, days, or something more advanced if needs be. And we've also got various other support for other triggers, so webhooks, so an events-based system can send messages directly into us. I'll trigger this manually, which you'll be able to do, anybody will be able to do within the platform. And as it does, we'll see that working away. As it does that, it's building up the log that we can see just on the left-hand side here. And at every step of the way as well, we can see all of the requests that we sent through to the system, the responses we got back, and then ultimately the next payload that's going to move through the process flow. So this particular order flow, we're calling into TikTok to fetch a list of orders. We've got a setting here just to tell it how far to look back. So we haven't created an order in a little bit of time, so I've just given it a large window there. So it's getting all the orders within 30 days. It then goes through a dedupe shape. So there's a small pool, again, accessible in the settings, where we're tracking the order ID in this case. We're making a record further down in the flow of everything that's successfully synced. And then this here will filter out anything that we've synced previously, just to ensure, obviously, we don't push the same order more than once. From there, we're breaking it up into individual orders and then passing through our map shape. So again, this is really intuitive and simple to use. Where we have the endpoint selected here, we've got that example payload, that example schema there. Sorry, my browser memory is running out. Just bear with me a second. So yeah, we can come into any of the pre-built mappings here and adjust those. Otherwise, if we add a new mapping rule, we can easily find the field that we're looking for. So let's say phone number. We do that on the source, we do that on the destination. And that's a very simple mapping taken care of. Within there, we can add any number of transforms. So we can do custom strings, prefixes. We can create custom tags or notes, as been alluded to, against the order. It really can be customized in any way that you need it to. From there, we've generated this new payload. So we've got the order in the format as expected from Veeqo. You'll see here, this is how the test data gets generated in TikTok. When it's live, obviously that won't be there. And then from there, it goes through to create an order on the Veeqo side. We've got some very straightforward error handling here. So if there is a fail, we've got a filter on this route. We can route this data out many different ways. We could push out to like the Jira or the Slack that I mentioned, or if you added a new platform into the tech stack, you could push it out to there as well, something like some accounting software or something. But for now, it's picking up anything that's errored, and then that will raise an error in the logs. So again, that will forward out to the email. You can correct the issue on the TikTok side or the Veeqo side, whatever it might be, come in back into Patchworks and re-trigger this, and hopefully it will then flow through as expected. Otherwise, it goes through and it gets logged in the deduping side of things there. So just to wrap up now, if I cut back into Veeqo, I'll just refresh this now. We're just in the ready to ship. We've now got our order that's just landed. So we've got the details here, the item that was in place. And just a quick point to note as well, I forgot to mention that at the start. In terms of the blueprint, we've got orders, just bear with me, so out of the box, I should say. So any number of process flows can be added to this. Hopefully you can see that here. But out of the box, we've got orders, fulfillments, and then stock level management. Within that as well, we've also got a way and mean to keep a track of the items. So where's we get a SKU from Veeqo, and that needs to be transformed into an ID on the Veeqo side. So sorry, where we get the SKU from the Veeqo order, TikTok order, and then push that through into Veeqo. That's all taken care of within the system. So we'll keep those things balanced and up to date as things run. So yeah, we're going to cover a lot more in the further webinars. I will hand back, I think, to Delph for some questions, I believe. Or Andreas, I should say, sorry.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Johnny. I think it was really interesting to see how really your platform kind of it sits at the back. You don't get to see all the time what it does, but it really just orchestrates the operations of a modern e-commerce tech stack. So yeah, I thought that was really good. I think at this stage, what I would like to do is just invite all of the speakers back to the stage to maybe go through some final remarks, some questions that we've got here, and then yeah, we can talk about closing it. So we've got 3 questions there. First one from Tom. Can we FBA on TikTok? Can I set up TikTok without my own site? Only selling on Amazon. I suspect FBA stands for fulfillment by Amazon. So the question is whether you can fulfill just using Amazon. Yes, you can do that. We do work with Amazon ourselves. So what you still have to do is you still have to list the products on TikTok Shop, and you still have to decide which ones you will be promoting with the creators. There's a whole strategy that runs behind this. But the how do you do it, whether that is possible from a technical angle, that's fine as well. We can facilitate that.
So just to add a little bit to that then. So for whoever asked that question, so yeah, you can, if you're using Seller Central with Amazon, then you can use your FBA stock to fulfill with TikTok Shop. So that's called multi-channel fulfillment, or MCF. So if you look that up, there's lots of information around how TikTok Shop and MCF integrate with each other. It's a relatively simple thing to get set up, and Amazon essentially acts as a warehouse for your TikTok Shop orders.
Cool, thank you. Shall I move over to the second question? So what tools or features does Veeqo offer to minimize the impact of inventory inaccuracies, especially during high volume sales periods? And I think, Ben, this is going to be one for you.
No problem. Yeah. So I guess the main cause of inventory inaccuracies is not so much inaccuracies, but being able to keep up with the stock changes. So some systems might only pull orders every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. We either pull every 10 minutes or we use something called webhooks where they're available. They're not available everywhere, but where they are, we use them. And that basically means we'll pull orders rather than us check on a schedule. The marketplace will tell us, hey, there's an order just being placed, come and get it, which puts it into near real time, which really helps reduce inventory inaccuracies because we can pull the order quickly. We're not waiting for it to come into the system. During extremely peak periods, if you maybe sell a product that is literally flies off the shelf, what you can do as well is we have things called a stock pushing rule where you can add a buffer in and say, look, only advertise 90% of my inventory because I anticipate orders will come in too quick for any system to keep them up to date. So you can include those as well if necessary during those high volume sales period. And finally, we have if you sell bundles, where you're advertising lots of different products as a kind of a combined product or online. You can also make sure that Veeqo will automatically recalculate and update inventory where you do sell products across bundles and you sell them individually. So a few different ways that we reduce that impact of inventory inaccuracy.
Thank you. And then the last question, how does Patchworks help brands maintain a smooth and scalable connection between TikTok Shop and tools like Veeqo as their order volumes and tech stacks grow? And this is for the Patchworks team.
Cool, yeah, I'll take that one. So in terms of scaling regards order volumes, because we're working with the APIs, we can extend rate limits and things like that. In terms of the process flows, so the one that I was showing you there on the order side of things, we can have multiple process flows running at once. And as I mentioned during the demo there, the services will naturally just scale up based on demand. We don't hit any issues with payload sizes and things of that nature. We support some huge brands. Hopefully you saw from Will's slide there, doing huge volumes, potentially with other systems as such, not specifically TikTok Shop and Veeqo, but as a platform, we handle millions of transactions a day, particularly during Black Friday and things like that. And in terms of when you add things into the tech stack, primarily we've got the connectors, we've got pre-built connectors. So more often than not, there's one there already that's plug and play. We just need to add the instance and get connected. And then that can start to get incorporated into either the existing process flows. So we can work on that during the draft. You can add it in, you can extend the mapping, build the routing, etc., and then do all of the testing within just a single one platform. Yeah, I think that covers it really. It's very plug and play. The process flows can be developed to meet requirements. We have professional services in-house as well. We've got strong documentation on our website. So yeah, everything's really clear and we're on hand to help out where needed.
Perfect. Thank you. So just wanted to take some time and thank everyone for joining us here today. As you see on the slides, we're going to share the resources and the slides of this alongside the recording. And this is just the beginning. There's a couple more episodes we're going to look at next, walk and run, and the dates are going to be announced in the upcoming weeks. I'd like to thank all of the speakers here today for the time they've devoted to this. And yeah, thanks everyone. Bye now.
Bye everyone.